Hello and welcome to another episode of A Brief History. Today's episode, PewDiePie. Ready, set, go. Gothenburg, Sweden, 2010. 20-year-old Felix Kjellberg begins his first year of university pursuing a degree in industrial economics and technology management. However, it didn't take very long at all before Felix began to lose interest in school. To put it plainly, he just grew bored and wasn't enjoying it at all. So to combat this, Felix found solace in a few of his hobbies. The first of which was Photoshop art, for which he had a great passion and a large amount of talent. And the latter being, of course, video games. Felix had been a gamer all his life, and for years he had been interested in trying to make gaming commentary videos on this random little website called YouTube. He launched his YouTube channel under the name PewDiePie on April 29th, 2010, and from what I could find at least, his earliest video was known as High Rise Nuke Free For All. But the oldest video currently viewable on his channel is known as Minecraft Multiplayer Fun, both of which were uploaded in the fall of 2010. So while he was growing increasingly disinterested with school, Felix had outlets where he could flex his creativity and just have fun. And while YouTube was mostly just a hobby, Felix's Photoshop art was actually beginning to gain some traction. This art that he was basically just making in his free time was suddenly winning contests and being exhibited in an art gallery. But even with all of this, Felix just couldn't bring himself to enjoy his university work, so come 2011, he dropped out. Luckily, he was able to use some of the money he had made from his Photoshop work to purchase a new computer, with which he was able to continue working on both his art as well as his YouTube videos. Now, for context, the YouTube scene in 2010-2011 was very different than it is now. Most prominent YouTubers were typically vloggers or sketch comedians. Gaming on YouTube existed, but not quite in the same form as it does today, and definitely not to the same extent. So when it came to YouTube, Felix was just there to have fun. And yet, come the end of 2011, things over on the PewDiePie channel were actually beginning to pick up steam. He surpassed 100,000 subscribers in January of 2012 and had begun to make a name for himself through his mostly horror game-centric Let's Play videos. And when I say horror game-centric, I mainly mean amnesia-centric because dear lord! But while his various Let's Plays were earning good views, it was his series of scary and funny highlight montage videos that really helped the PewDiePie channel take off, gaining hundreds of thousands, even millions of views each. And as many of you are aware, 2012 marked a massive shift in how YouTube operated, ditching the site's old and easily exploitable view-based algorithm in favor of a retention time-based model. Longer, bingeable, and more frequent video uploads were now the things getting large amounts of promotion, rather than, say, Smosh's weekly 2-minute sketch comedy video. PewDiePie fit this bill perfectly, and thus over the next several years, Felix's channel just continued to grow and grow and grow. But of course, algorithmic optimization doesn't mean much if you don't have good videos to back it up, which Felix had in spades. In fact, during this period in 2012, Felix began some of the most popular of his really early Let's Plays, like Happy Wheels, Facade, Chats with Cleverbot, and of course, more Amnesia. And from here, PewDiePie's audience just continued to increase, steadily at first, and then startlingly fast. His channel passed 1 million subscribers by July 2012, only to then jump all the way to 10 million subscribers by July of the next year. But it only got crazier from there. By December of 2013, only 6 months after hitting 10 million, Felix had nearly doubled his sub count, boasting just over 19 million subscribers, making him far and away the most subscribed to channel on all of YouTube, a position he's held to this day, currently clocking in at over 55 million subscribers. But far more interesting than PewDiePie's numbers is how he, as a content creator, has changed over the last few years. At the start of his rise to the top, Felix was YouTube's premier gaming content creator. When people thought YouTube gaming, they thought PewDiePie. He even proved to have a strong influence over the gaming scene, with his videos arguably acting as the launching points of popular titles like Flappy Bird. Yeah, remember that? But as the years went on, it appeared that Felix was beginning to base his content less and less on the games and more on his own personality. This became the most notable around 2016, when Felix's output looked less like this and more like this. Less surgeon simulators and more try not to laugh challenges. And this shift to more personality-driven content was also reflected in PewDiePie's newest and biggest project at the time, a premium YouTube Red original series known as Scare PewDiePie. Premiering on February 10th, 2016, Scare PewDiePie was all about taking the world's most popular gamer and placing him in into real-life versions of the horror games he was known for playing. Scare PewDiePie was a pretty big hit, with its free trial episode boasting well over 40 million views. And there was even a second season featuring fellow Let's Player Jacksepticeye set for release in 2017, known as Scare PewDiePie Multiplayer. But unfortunately, despite being finished and ready for release, this entire season was cancelled. And now we're getting to it. So it's no secret that over the course of his career, PewDiePie has been subject to controversy, particularly when it comes to his more abrasive sense of humor. But this kind of came to a head in early 2017 when a few admittedly tasteless jokes of his not only began to catch heat, but kinda set the whole woods on fire. These jokes, along with several other out-of-context circumstances surrounding Felix, were then plucked by various news outlets and used as basically an all-out attack on PewDiePie. He was being labeled a racist and anti-Semite, he was dropped from his network, and as I said before, YouTube canceled Season 2 of Scare PewDiePie. And while Felix apologized for these jokes and denied allegations of being a racist or full-on Nazi, the news outlets that had come out against him never really let up on him or on YouTube in general, leading to what we now know as the YouTube adpocalypse. But despite all of this, Felix hasn't slowed down for even a second. His channel is as big as ever, still averaging several millions of views per upload, and he's even been doing a few more gaming-related videos than usual recently. PewDiePie is PewDiePie, you know? There are very few people on YouTube like Felix. For many people, when they think YouTube, PewDiePie is the first person who springs to mind. And this has been both a positive and a negative thing throughout his career. Positive, as it's given him the opportunity to do amazing things like release books and video games of his own and raise millions of dollars for charity. But also negative, as he's basically been treated like a target by more mainstream media outlets even before the most recent 2017 controversy. Looking back several years ago, the only time more mainstream news outlets would even look at PewDiePie was to talk about how much money he made, and do so in a very condescending, can you believe this kind of way. But through it all, Felix has never stopped making videos, opting instead to grow and change as a content creator. One day, he was a college dropout making videos for fun, and only about 3 years later, he was the top dog on the world's premier video sharing website. And since then, Felix's channel has basically acted as the archetype of how a gaming channel can succeed. Pretty much every major gamer on YouTube has followed a similar pattern as Felix over their career. Everything from the games they play to the way they do face cam, and even the whole thing of shifting from gaming-centric content to more personality-driven content. So whether you love him or hate him, I think it's safe to say that YouTube as a whole would have been very, very different without PewDiePie. And no one knows this quite like Let's Player Jacksepticeye, whose rise to popularity on YouTube began in late 2013 when Felix ran a shout-out contest on his channel. Jack entered and won this contest back when he only had a little over 2,000 subscribers, but I'm getting a little bit carried away. If you like YouTubers like PewDiePie and want to hear the rest of Jacksepticeye's YouTube history, you can hop over to my channel, Foot of a Ferret, where I've dedicated an entire episode of A Brief History to just that. It should be live over there right now, so check it out if you like. I do a lot of YouTube-centric brief histories over there, so if you're into that, you can watch a few and maybe even subscribe. And I think that's about it, so until next time, thanks for watching, guys, and DFTBA.